Hello, everybody. I'm sure some of you are buffering in, but I'll start. I'm Peter Arnold. I'm the Executive Director of the Fashion Scholarship Fund. Tonight is one of my favorite evenings of the FSF year. It's called our Final Four Pitch Night, not to be confused for you basketball fans with the NCAA Final Four. I'm hoping for some of you it might be even more exciting than the NCAA. I know it is for me. Seriously, this is the culmination of over a year of a process that started in January of 2021, when over 1,000 students from our network of 66 schools entered our portal, worked on case studies, which were judged in November and December. And from that 1,100, we announced 123 scholars, this year's class of scholars, 23 of whom are Virgil Abloh scholars. And tonight, I'm super excited that we have the 4 top scoring scholars from that group of 123. We're going to hear from them tonight. Each of them will be presenting their case study. Then they'll open up after a 4 or 5 minute presentation to questions from our judges. And then on April 11th at our gala, we'll announce the winner, the recipient of the most significant scholarship award that the FSF gives. So I'm very excited to introduce our judging panel. The first judge, Ifechi, is in transit. For those of you who know her, she's the Director of Fashion Partnerships and Instagram Meta. She'll be joining us shortly. Tremaine Emory is here all the way from London. Tremaine is the Creative Director of Supreme. Welcome, Tremaine. Thank you. And Tremaine's joined by Lucille Moreau, who is in France, where it is 11:02. Thanks, Lucille, for joining in. Lucille's the head of culture, digital, and PR for Evian. Welcome, Lucille. Amanda Smith from Mexico tonight. Amanda is the president of Fairchild Media, which comprises Women's Wear Daily, Footwear News, and Sourcing Journal. Welcome, Amanda. We've got Corey Smith, who's the head of diversity and inclusion at LVMH North America. Welcome, Corey. And we have Lana Todorovich, who's an FSF board member. She's also the president and chief merchandising officer at Neiman Marcus Group. Thanks for joining, Lana. And Jennifer Vecchio, who is the president of the FSF board and the president and chief merchandising officer for Burlington stores. Welcome, Jennifer. Eva, I went ahead and introduced you and said you were on your way, so thank you for joining.
Here I am. We're probably going to be joined by my kids any minute now, too. They're going to all join in and have opinions as well, because it's, that dinner time, bath time hour where it's just chaos.
All right, we encourage a wide array of opinions from all different constituents, so that this will work out really well. So I'm anxious to get started, and I think we will. As I said, 15-minute segments from each of our 4. Ellie, we're going to start with you with a 4 to 5 minute presentation of your case study, and then we'll open it up to comments, reactions, suggestions, criticisms from our judges. But Ellie Eisenman is a senior at Drexel University. He submitted a merchandising case study. Ellie, I'm going to turn it over to you and ask you to pull up your slides.
Sounds great. Thank you. Peter, am I good to go?
Great. Terrific.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ellie Eisenman, and I'm here to tell you how the Bonobos Hybrid Work Collection will make you feel stylish, comfortable, and put together, whether you're working from home or in the office. Meet Gordon Collins, a 27-year-old New Yorker who works at a marketing firm and makes $85,000 a year. At the end of his 20s, Gordon still enjoys going out with his friends and dating on the weekend, but he has started thinking that he wants to settle down. Gordon likes to make sure that he dresses stylishly, but doesn't want to appear like he puts too much time into his outfits. When spending his hard-earned money, Gordon demands that it goes to brands that he connects with. And like many other men his age, Gordon is an educated consumer. As he emerges from the pandemic, Gordon plans to have a hybrid work life. Some days he will spend at home, some days will be spent in the office. His wardrobe has to reflect both of those settings. The Bonobos Hybrid Work Collection will offer Gordon stylish pieces that he can wear all day, every day. This should leave you wondering, what is this versatile clothing collection? Well, these 8 products are the Bonobos Hybrid Work Collection. Each item has a price point that is aspirational, yet still very affordable for a consumer like Gordon. The collection focuses on comfort and everyday use above all else. The staple of the collection are the easily put together Zoom-ready outfits for any professional requirement that Gordon might have during his day. The knit blazer can be worn at a bar for happy hour, date night, or a work meeting, obviously. And it also pairs perfectly with the long sleeve tee and stretch striped Oxford. The polo, stretch tech button down, V-neck sweater, and cardigan all pair well together and are perfect for days where Gordon might spend his time hopping on and off Zoom meetings, where comfort but also respectability are key. The collection features one unique pant, the WFHQ, which is comfortable enough for home, but stylish enough for the office. The color assortment has been carefully chosen so that Gordon won't have to think about putting together these easily made outfits. He will always know that he's good to go. The merchandising and marketing for the collection will focus on Bonobos's e-commerce website in their brick and mortar stores called guide shops. Bonobos did 67% of their total sales from their website on 2021, making it the foundation of their business. The online marketing will focus on relatable imagery with the collection organized by those easily made Zoom-ready outfits. So why are Bonobos's brick and mortar stores called guide shops? Well, it's because they guide the consumer through a personalized experience with a stylist who knows what they need best. They actually carry no inventory in store, and all items are sent directly to the consumer after they make their purchase. This is perfect for a customer like Gordon, who wants and will appreciate brands that take those extra steps to connect with the consumers. The in-store visual merchandising will feature this shop your closet layout, which will allow Gordon to really visualize those clothes in his closet. The hybrid work collection, relatable not only to Gordon, but everyone who works in this new hybrid environment, will focus on comfort and style, specific needs of the modern business professional. How can Bonobos expand on this collection? Well, from post-pandemic to travel, the Bonobos hybrid work collection does not just stop at home. Whether he's on a business trip or just needs a change of scenery, the work from anywhere collection will suit Gordon's needs. Focused on a collaboration with a single airline, this will feature a branded airline kit and a painted airplane to represent Bonobos' signature print flair. The Bonobos Work From Anywhere collection will feature easily travelable clothing that the customer can wear while flying, like sweatpants and a sweatshirt, and stylish pieces that can be easily packed and are non-wrinkle for when they arrive at their destination. The branded airline kit will allow Bonobos to increase brand awareness with traveling business professionals, while the designed airplane brings a splash of excitement to the blue skies. No matter where Gordon is going, Bonobos can go there with him. The Bonobos hybrid work collection will make you feel stylish, comfortable, and put together, whether you're working from home or in the office. And before I finish, I just want to show solidarity with Gordon, so many other people out there, and maybe even some of you on the Zoom meeting, because I too am wearing my Zoom-ready sweatpants for this meeting. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Thanks, Ellie. Thanks for that reveal at the end. I wasn't expecting that. I'm going to open it up to the judges who read your case study. Ellie said they may have some questions that weren't related to what you just presented, but to the case study, the larger one. Anybody want to jump in?
I'm happy to start.
Go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, thanks. You did such a nice job presenting. You're very good at it. It's difficult to do and more difficult to do to a large group of people. So really congratulations. I really like your presentation and like your idea. Would love to hear your thoughts on additional pairs of pants to add to the collection. I think the tops and jackets are phenomenal. Everybody loves a comfortable pant. Would you consider additional pants or shorts or other pieces to add in the near term?
I think 100%, if you're looking at the expansion aspect of it, adding pants to kind of a more travel focused collection would definitely be on the menu. In terms of this specific collection, keeping it small as not to be like, it's not an overexpensive like collection that will take up a lot of Bonobos's kind of total annual sales or even like the general marketing scheme. So it's about keeping a small focused collection. The one pant is more of kind of this unique like one-off item that is special because it is singular.
Thank you.
Ellie, I have a question. I noticed that you have some experience in as a fabric assistant, as well as worked in companies that really focus on fabric technologies. You mentioned a couple of times comfort, in addition to stylish, but certainly comfortable. Have you considered any sort of tech fabrics or any differentiated fabrics in approaching this, particularly as you're also talking about travel kits, etc.?
So, I mean, I guess it depends whether you're speaking about professional or very specific fabric choices, or just general kind of knowledge about what kind of combinations would work best.
For this collection, what are some of the fabrics, and how did you approach that?
So I was really focusing on making sure every single item is first and foremost, aside from one of the button downs, is a knit. So I just wanted them all to be knit items. That's why it's a very specific knit blazer, because it adds that extra stretch and comfort that you can use by just making it an easily cotton blend. Just because the more even a kind of higher quality cotton blend will still offer that stretch, but a lot more long lasting viability in terms of just being able to use wherever you want. And kind of those high class knits are something that I saw a lot of in other kind of focus for work from home collections, because they offer that comfort, but they also offer that ability to have a slight more sheen that kind of gives it the business professional look.
Thank you.
I guess my question is a little bit more theoretical. How do you think about future-proofing your collection as more people go back to work full-time? I know I'm set to go back to the office full-time starting next Monday. How do you think about the collection in that regard?
Well, looking at kind of a 5-year plan, I would say that it really depends on what industry you're in. Something that I try and focus on in my case study at the introduction to the case study is this research that I did onto what specific industries and who will be returning to work and not remaining in this hybrid environment. And Bonobos's kind of target customer are these 25 to they have a very wide range, but starting at 25 to maybe 36-year-olds who are in kind of these slightly more elevated mid-level positions in very traditional office spaces almost, because it is a slightly more traditional menswear company that offers these splashes of color and style. And so those customers very specifically have a very high likelihood of remaining in a hybrid work environment. So future-proofing it is either kind of making this bet that the hybrid work environment will continue on as a very viable strategy, or that maybe kind of the expansion has to look as a wider range of how can you really go from post-pandemic to travel to then kind of create a collection maybe that focuses on returning to work full-time.
Corey, did you have a question?
Yeah, a great presentation, by the way.
Thank
my
you.
question was really around the merchandising of it from a brick and mortar perspective, meaning, usually comfort or loungewear or athletic wear is a very different part of the store than your more corporate or formal wear. What are your thoughts on visually displaying this in a store? Is it its own capsule, or where does it live in the store?
Yeah, so I think that is a very excellent question for a brand like Bonobos, who has very, very specific stylized brick and mortar stores. They very intentionally call them guide shops, as I mentioned, and the way they're oftentimes are very small spaces that are create very intimate settings between the stylist and the customer. And I created this visual, this kind of shop your closet visual, because I felt made it very easy to create this corner that you can dedicate this collection to, that has this faux closet that the stylist can kind of use to interact with the customer in, and that you're able to kind of separate this from the general collections and just general core items that Bonobos will be offering by giving it this special merchandising plan that gives it just something unique, if that answers your question.
Thanks, Ellie.
Oh,
Any other
sorry.
questions? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
That's
Jennifer,
okay.
sorry.
That's okay. Okay, really great presentation. Thank you, very much. So as you know, the customer is, obviously evolving as there's a transition, to people going back to the workforce. And how do you think about, as the customer evolves to a little bit more polished look, how how your collection could then feed into that and support, that customer who has to go from day to night. People are going out more, they're going to parties more, they're going to, they might get off a plane and have to go to a dinner. So how are you thinking about that sort of evolution of the customer now that people are coming out of the pandemic?
So I think that this question kind of ties in perfectly with Lana's previous question in terms of different fabric usage for the different products. In this specific collection, there are two different kind of button downs that really rely heavily on, which are like the only two structured aspects of the entire collection, if we're just talking about like different categories of fabrics. And then by kind of working in a more highly technical, still kind of woven, but very specifically stretch woven that try to mimic these more knit fabrics that you have, you can create a more polished, structured kind of day to night environment while still being able to stay more or less true to the original intention. Obviously, like you're going to have these differences, but if you can kind of remain with those structured fabrics that are trying to imitate those knits, you can, I would hope, and I can, from what I know, you should be able to continue that.
Great. Thanks, Ellie. Thanks for the presentation and thanks for your answers. That's really great. Really great. I'm going to ask you to leave, but thank you again, and introduce our next finalist presenter, Naisa Dixon. Naisa is a junior at Savannah College of Art and Design. Naisa submitted a design case study. Naisa, are you ready to present?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I have some technical difficulties over here.
That was very dramatic, Naisa, but
Try.
You want to maybe pull up your presentation? Great.
Can everyone see it? Great. Ooh, technical difficulty again. Sorry. Okay, great. Okay, I am Naisa Dixon, an American-born Jamaican-raised student currently attending SCAD Savannah, and I'm excited about embodying radical optimism. That means always being on the lookout for positivity. Now, how does one collection support radical optimism? By incorporating techno-Gaianism, making sure every single garment is sustainable and never harmful to our environment. These last few years have been pessimistic for some of us, but for others, it's been an opportunity to explore some optimism. I know for myself, I got the chance to go outdoors more. I have ADHD, dyslexia, autism, so being in social environments or the city environment can be so overwhelming for me sometimes. By going out into nature, I had the opportunity to enjoy more soothing stimuli, and it helped create more balance in my life. So you must be wondering, what does this have to do with fellow Americans? Well, it turns out that I'm not alone. According to the CPD and the Civic Science Survey, 48% of Americans have the intention to increase their outdoor activity, while 32% of Americans have the intention to increase their indoor activity. So if you couple this blossoming love and respect for nature and the new work environment, we have this growing demand for sustainability and versatility. And who else to give the post-COVID consumer what they want than Iris van Herpen and Nike. Iris van Herpen is a Dutch couture designer who has captured the world with her biomimicry and eco-friendly textiles in her collection. Nike is known for working with amazing women such as Serena Williams, Billie Eilish, and their collabs while they move towards zero waste and zero carbon with their Move to Zero initiative. So independently, both brands have been components of techno-Gaianism. That is, both brands have worked with sociology and ecology in hopes to find this balance between man, nature, and technology by incorporating green science to help restore Earth's biosphere. Together, their efforts can only get stronger. Some of us have transitioned to working from home, while others are having a hybrid work environment. Some of us do not want to let go of this newfound comfort, while others are ready to dress up, ready to go back out again. So how can Nike and Eaters cater to both sides? By designing a collection that you can easily dress up with heels or dress down with sneakers. There is a focus on design elements on the upper torso to accommodate video conference platforms that we use frequently today, like Zoom and Google Meet. Eco-friendly textiles from Tencel, circular knits from Eva and Corolla, and silk made in a lab by Evolved by Nature will ensure that this collection is sustainable. Not to forget about our athletes and making sure we're giving them things that they need, such as quick drying elements or odor control. All the textiles will be treated by Midori algae solutions. And this will make sure that our environment is not harmed in the process of making a beautiful collection. With big ideas come a big campaign. Supernatural will explore the interconnectivity between man, nature, and technology and fiber technology. We will follow a series of beautiful images while we watch women in sports perform in nature. During the launch, there will be this immersive VR experience where they'll have a setting of solar punk environments that find this beautiful balance between technology and nature. And we can watch the athletes perform. And if you're interested in what she's wearing, you can click on her and it will send you to Nike's website where you can purchase the items. Another interesting aspect about this marketing campaign is that we will have a hashtag for social media as well. Hashtag supernatural. When a person uses the hashtag in the post, this will automatically enter them into a competition where 4 winners will be featured on Nike and Iris social media. And they can talk about their mental health journey or exploring the outdoors or how they coped with COVID-19 in the last few years. The message that I want to leave with you today is that radical optimism is what these times demand. And who better to deliver on the promise of a better tomorrow than Nike and Iris van Hertman. So I want you to join me, join Nike, join Iris, as we dare to hope for a greener tomorrow today. Thank you.
Thanks, Naecia.
You're welcome.
And if anybody is a radical optimist, as I've come to know you in the past few weeks, it's you. So thank you for sharing your passion and your enthusiasm. I'll open it up to the judges now.
Hi, it's Lucille. Hi, Naecia. So thank you for the presentation. It was great and super inspiring. I was wondering if you thought about the durability of the capsule, knowing that you want to be like future focused and responsible. Is it something that you've been thinking about
Yes.
by proposing repairing or things like that?
Yes. So with Tencel fibers, a lot of them have long-lasting wear and color fast in their fabrications. And with Eva and Corolla, one of the reasons why this singular knit is so amazing is that it has more longevity and it can be designed in a way where stress areas that would be probably moved around a lot by the athlete, you can make the knit tighter in that area and then expand it where it's not so much stress to make it last longer. One of the things I was definitely concerned about was if I want this to, it's more than an idea, it's a lifestyle. And when people buy a lifestyle, it has to last. So I wanted to have textiles that was going to be able to last longer than like 1 year or 2 years. You're buying a piece of iconography and technology, and I want you to feel that for more than just like a year.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I would love to hear about how you might have thought about incorporating other like future kind of tech leaning ideas such as NFTs and I just feel like there's so much potential for the work that you're doing to kind of incorporate other forms of media and technology. Sorry, my kids are going crazy. I'm going to go back on mute.
So one of the things I was definitely interested was 3D printed fibers. Iris already has a lot of experience with that, but I feel like that's something that Nike is still exploring. I know that there's 3D printed prototypes that they use for their sneakers. Or for example, they had the 3D printed prototype for Avatar, the one with the blue people. The shoes that they use for the CGI were actually designed with a 3D printer. So I know that's being incorporated in Nike now, if I'm not mistaken. I was interested in having, you can put like a fabric down, put some 3D print down, put the fabric down, and then 3D print on top of that fabric. And I thought that would look really interesting with having like a motif that's slightly risen off of the collection. I was cautious of budget though, because it is a placement print. And it's already expensive textiles, and we have to incorporate the grading with the placement print, and the budgets for collaborations seem to go from like 300 to 500 for Nike and their other collaborations. So I wanted to be safe with this, just to make sure it was going to be in the budget for the aspirational buyer.
Great. I have a question. I love radical optimism, and I think that there's definitely sort of a moment in time for consumers to really appreciate that, as well as longevity of this idea, which is as long as humankind. I was wondering, I noticed that in terms of the silhouettes that, it is an athleisure collection. And I think what you just highlighted here was something we would all recognize like athleisure. But in your work, I've noticed some creativity in the silhouettes that were really going beyond what one would consider athleisure, long pleated skirts, jackets with pleats in the back. Was it intentional? I'm sure it was. And is that part of your vision of how to bring a different twist or a different optimism to otherwise pretty sort of technical swoosh?
Yes, it was very intentional. I really wanted to capture the silhouette of Iris in the collection and not just focus on the print. And I also wanted to elevate athleisure. I don't want it to just be a sports bra and tights with a logo on it. I want it to be an experience. I want you to walk down the road and these pleats are like flowing with you. I want you to like feel the fabric and like really enjoy what you're wearing. And it's something that I would love to explore further on, to elevate athleisure and make it more, having this heavily designed product that's still functional. Like, why can't I have both? I want to have it functional and I want to look amazing.
That stood out for me, by the way, as a point of differentiation. Go ahead.
Thanks, Tremaine. Tremaine, you have a question?
Thank you, Tremaine.
Yes, great presentation. It was incredible. Naecia, I just wanted to know, did you envision this being, how can I put it, a finite thing with Nike and the collab with the other brand, and then it rolls into its own thing long term? Or was this, how did you see the future?
Honestly, if I want to be honest about it, I think the future of this collection would be a combination of response from the audience and how much money the collection made. Realistically, if I had a choice, I probably would not have the collection be repeated just because I want to make it very special. However, I'm not opposed to the idea of it being something that's revisited every 2 years, if the customer really, really wants it. Because, sustainability costs money. And so if it's making a profit that's going to be funneled into more research, I'm so down for that.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great presentation. There was, in your case study, there was definitely a strong representation around women empowerment. The presentation was definitely devoid of men, which I loved. I thought it was great. I definitely feel as if I understand the reasoning and the connection between women and nature and Mother Nature, and get where I'm going with that whole thing. But wanted to actually really give you an opportunity to kind of really explain what your thought process was there behind not just the aesthetics of the collection, but the connection between sustainability and women empowerment.
Sustainability and women empowerment. I mean, I feel like most women have been proponents for sustainability. from in my experience. Though I don't want to exclude men either. I purposely said feminine aspirational buyer because there are people who are gender fluid that shop on both aisles. But in regards to this nurturing aspect, I mean, for Iris, she does focus on women and the women that wear her work, for example, Grimes or Doja Cat, that have also spoken of Billie Eilish, they have spoken about wanting to invest in the world. But I don't want to say that it's just for women, though I do think women have a strong voice in regards to sustainability. I feel like there are a lot of men that also have similar views. I'm just more focused on the feminine aspect of nature and beauty and expression. But it doesn't necessarily mean that men or people that identify as men can experience this collection as well.
So terrific presentation. Thank you. Really, really exciting to see. I think the femininity, I think, is actually really exciting in what you're showing. So I guess, how did you think about how to make this, affordable and approachable to, a larger segment? Because obviously this has a very, more of a designer feel to it. And we know that sustainability costs more in terms of the, the fabrications and the processes of producing the product. So how did you think about, evolving it to be, to where it was more reachable to a broader audience?
I'm going to be honest, it was purely selfish. I wanted Iris Van Herpen and I needed to afford her. So I thought about the white spaces that Iris has. She doesn't have a lot of product in the mass market. She doesn't have the facilities to do mass market reproductions either. So I didn't want to put her in a position where it would be a new business venture to do ready to wear garments. And I also wanted to go towards something that investors would find exciting. Statistics show that more people are interested in investing in athleisure because more people are wearing athleisure. So by presenting an athleisure component to it, that would fill the white space of it not being in the mass market and also making profit off of it. I wanted to also think of a company that would have the facilities to produce a mass market collection that was also aligned with her goals and core values and would be aesthetically flexible to her designs. And I was just like, Nike's on it. They're really pushing forward with their sustainability, trying to make their supply chain electric, trying to have a more vertical supply chain. Everything about Nike is lining up with their core values. And Nike is also pushing to incorporate more women into their campaigns and design aspects. Iris is a beautiful and talented woman. So they both fill these white spaces for each other. And then I can get me an Iris Van Herpen product.
I appreciate your candor, Naecia. That was great. Thank you, Naecia, and thanks for so deftly handling the questions. Terrific. Thank you. I think we're going to move now to Emily Becker. Emily Becker is a rising junior at Iowa State University. Emily submitted a merchandising case study. Emily, welcome.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. Thank you, Mr. Arnold, for the introduction, and thank you, judges, for the opportunity to present to you tonight my case study, #CK Self-Love. I'm extremely excited to be presenting from the new Student Innovation Center at Iowa State, where I am a sophomore studying retail merchandising. I was a senior in high school when COVID-19 started. I left school one day in March and never returned in 2020. Our graduation, where I was supposed to give our valedictorian speech, was continuously delayed into the summer. I started my freshman year of college, miles away from home, in a world that had only known isolation for the past year. I began to question if I made the right decision to move and if I would meet anybody new. The driving force behind my wanting to enter the fashion industry is to help people feel seen and heard. The pandemic stripped these feelings away from me. This caused me to begin to prioritize self-love and my mental health. To me, self-love is focusing on my health and my happiness, which all contribute to my mental health. Today, I'll be sharing with you how the CK Self-Love Collection will encourage inclusivity, awareness, and acceptance so that anyone with or without mental health issues feels seen and heard. Why is Calvin Klein the perfect home for CK Self-Love? Well, because the brand can create a call to action in the world to talk more about mental health. Calvin Klein recently launched a Pride collection that celebrates people of all genders. Calvin Klein also just launched their Spring 2022 collection labeled as All Together. According to the Calvin Klein website, it's a campaign that's all about connection, unified through Calvin Klein styles. This aligns perfectly with CK Self-Love because it is promoting positive and healthy relationships in the wake of the global pandemic for all people. According to Clutch Research, 75% of people are likely to start shopping at a company that supports issues that they agree with. And 71% of people think it is important for businesses to take a stance on social movements. At this point in time, people care about self-love and mental health. CK Self-Love will make people feel seen and heard by taking a stance on these issues, which is no longer just desired, but required in order to stay relevant. The CK Self-Love Collection will introduce a new line of comfortable clothing. This clothing will have green details, as green is the symbol of mental health awareness, and a small heart as a symbol of self-love, and can be seen in the bottom left corner. This assortment follows Calvin Klein's brand aesthetic of less is more with small but powerful details. The collection will feature 4 separate items in 3 different colors and will be presented online and in Calvin Klein stores. The items were picked specifically to be gender neutral because mental health is important no matter how you identify. The CK Self-Love Collection wants to create an experience and community for customers. Why? Because community is extremely important for mental health. Calvin Klein currently has no brand app. You may be wondering why this is so significant. Well, according to PVH, only 25% of sales in 2020 came from digital. By CK Self-Love using an app, they can interact directly with the customer and can draw them both online and in store through in-app exclusives and can be seen in the bottom right corner. The growth and expansion of CK Self-Love will be based upon achieving a profitable sales of $2.9 million. 3 growth opportunities include, first, expanded product assortment, and then through third-party e-commerce sites, and then through shop-in-shops such as in Macy's and Dillard's. Though the pandemic seems to be coming to an end, I will continue to prioritize self-love and my mental health. CK Self-Love addresses the extremely important topic of mental health. We all deserve to feel seen and heard, and CK Self-Love addresses that. Thank you again for the opportunity to present to you tonight my case study, #CK Self-Love. I'll now take any questions or feedback.
Thank you, Emily. Amanda.
Hi, Emily. I like that you're wearing green in solidarity.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's nice. A nice touch. So, I see obviously the Calvin Klein existing client as being the initial buyer. What do you think it would take to expand into new consumers into the brand, or how do you see bringing more people into the mix?
Yeah, I definitely think this is where the marketing comes into play. And this is a great question also, because I even think about my mom. I shared the idea with her and she was like, I would love to wear this. And she's not necessarily somebody who's shopping Calvin Klein right now, but as soon as she heard the idea behind it, she wanted to support it. So that's where it would be so important that the marketing gets out there and is reaching everybody, so that everybody, even if they are Calvin Klein shoppers or if they aren't, they hear the message behind it and then choose to want to support mental health.
Lucille?
Yes. Hi, Emily. I was wondering, have you considered to identify any charity or mental health association that could help you launch this association?
Yeah, definitely. So first looking at it, I think I just wanted to keep it with Calvin Klein because there's so many ideas associated with it, especially I really wanted to focus on the app and things like that. But going forward, I think being tied to a partnership with a mental health organization that supports different efforts in mental health movements, I think would be extremely important in just driving the message forward that mental health isn't going anywhere and it's not just a trend that people are going to support. It's something that needs to be talked about all the time and a lot more going forward. So I think tying the collection CK Self-Love to a partnership would be extremely important to moving that forward.
Anybody else for Emily? Emily, thanks. That was just terrific.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it very much. I am going to call on our final finalist, Ifechi Lozar. Ifechi, I hope you're ready for us. Judges, Ifechi is a senior at Brown University, and she submitted a marketing analytics case study. Ifechi, over to you.
All right, okay, let me share my screen. Can everyone see this all right? Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for the intro, Peter, and good evening, everyone. My name is Ifechi, and I'm a senior studying applied math and computer science at Brown University. I'm so excited to be here with you all today, and I continue to be humbled by the opportunities that FSF has afforded me. So you might be wondering, why is an applied math and computer science major trying out fashion? To answer this, I'm going to take you back to my internship this past summer. I was working at Salesforce, an enterprise software company that focuses on customer relationship management. Very sexy, I know. While I was there, I witnessed firsthand how they were trying to better engage customers by using social media inspired features. So when I was deciding whether to work on a marketing analytics case study, I thought back on that experience. If a company like Salesforce can leverage social media to adapt to the post-2020 world, then surely a fashion company like Nordstrom Rack should be leveraging it too. Now, I don't think it's lost on Nordstrom Rack that we should be using social media. The real question is, how do we use it effectively? The key is brand engagement. Brand engagement signifies loyalty and endorsement. It reflects the strength of our relationships with our customers. To increase brand engagement, we need to meet customers where they are and when they want, with authentic and inclusive content. And so the goal of this case study is to outline how social media, along with influencers and strategic partnerships, will enable Nordstrom Rack to better reach you wherever you are and whenever you want. So how do we turn this idea into actions that we can take? Let's dive into our tactics. First, we should post 3 to 5 times per week on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Pinterest, doing things like sharing outfit inspo and amplifying creators who tag Nordstrom Rack. Second, we should collaborate with influencers of different backgrounds and audience sizes every 1 to 2 months. Nano influencer Shine Bright Kayleese, a teen color queen, and micro influencer Gabby Sage, a model who loves pastels, will naturally reach different audiences. And working with both of them, for example, would allow us to connect with a wider array of people. Additionally, we should aim to launch 1 or 2 partnerships each year that align with current trends. The main objectives of these tactics are to, of course, increase brand engagement, but also to get us more customers and hold on to them, and to get them to add a couple more things to their cart here and there. Additionally, we can't forget about traditional marketing forms that capture our more traditional customers. Emailing weekly newsletters is a dependable way to keep customers engaged and initiate purchases. Digital ads with an emphasis on search ads on Google and Amazon also help with purchases. TV and PR tend to be more costly and so should be used more sparingly, but there are still good ways to support our objectives. Now, we have all of these tactics, but an effective strategy requires more than just a set of disconnected actions, right? Let's see how our tactics really work together by diving into our marketing strategy for the month of May. So it's AAPI Heritage Month, and we're super excited to be partnering with Heritage in Bloom, an elegant Asian-owned, woman-led fashion brand. We're going to collaborate with AAPI influencers and email a newsletter about the partnership to build the hype. And since this is our first time doing a partnership like this, we're going to write a press release to generate some buzz among journalists. We also have some alternative strategies that we can employ when the time is right. We're already planning to open more locations, so we'll have added real estate for community-based events. Video and audio content, such as a Nordstrom Rack YouTube channel or podcast, could be another great way to interact with shoppers. Taken together with employee engagement in June, spontaneous social media moments in April, and prudent placements of digital ads throughout, our tactics work in synergy to keep customers engaged. Now, how will we know if our plan is successful? This is where measuring impact comes in. First, we'll estimate incremental sales generated by social media, influencers, and partnerships from the previous term to understand where we're starting from. Next, we'll project incremental sales using factors such as marketing KPIs and market trends. Finally, we'll compare our actual sales and profit to the previous term and our projections to comprehensively measure success. Now, looping back to my experience at Salesforce, something that my manager told me that stuck with me is the fact that enterprise companies tend to watch the leading consumer brands and mimic them. So a company like Salesforce leaning into social media indicates the urgency in Nordstrom Rack leaning into it too. But I don't think our goal should just be to mimic best-in-class brands. We should aim to be a best-in-class brand. And by leveraging social media along with influencers and strategic partnerships as part of a larger marketing strategy, we can meet customers where they are and when they want and become the best-in-class brand that I know we can be. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, Ifechi. I'm going to open it up to the judges. That was very well presented. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anybody?
Hi, it's Eva Fetchy. I just want to say I work at Instagram, and I want to say that you can do you can work at a place like Salesforce and still love fashion. You can work at Instagram and still love fashion too. So I love seeing the combination of all those things come together, and think that you have a really well thought out approach to social media on it. And I like the approach with the various different kinds of influencers from backgrounds. So great job.
Thank you.
You need to fill up.
Lana.
Yes, no, mine is more of a comment. What I really liked about your approach is the methodical approach to metrics, because that becomes really a guidepost as to how to continue on this journey. And I think that your approach on tactics, objectives, as well as metrics and measuring impact is the structure that I think is incredibly important, for companies that are not just mimicking best in class, but are looking to be best in class.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Amanda?
I want to tell you have a phenomenal resume. It was really interesting to see your background and fun to hear your ideas. I think to echo several others points to some degree, it was really interesting to see how well you knew media actually, and how well you had thought out the media plan behind it. It's a little close to my heart, obviously, coming from the media background, but incredibly impressive, your knowledge of that and research of it, and kind of understanding of both costs and timing and always on and key moments. So was really excited to see that from you. So great work.
Thank you so much.
Tremaine.
I think you're muted, Tremaine.
Okay.
That is classic.
There you go.
Sorry about that. Great presentation. Would you see this not more of, but like a control that you could show and it could stint and some, like, even, denim tears? I don't know. Or is it more of like off the rack type of situations where you take this data from it's being successful and then apply it to other places? I don't know, Marshalls or so on and so forth. Or could this be applied to like a brick and mortar fashion brand, or their online, their directors DC, and maybe creating some type of thing for off the rack for like a big brand?
Okay, just to clarify this question, are you talking more specifically about the measuring impact portion and how this could scale to potentially other companies and other types of business setups?
Well, just like, because off the rack is a specific thing.
Yes.
So what if, let's say 10 years down the line, let's say there's like denim tears, and then there's like subsidiary, like let's say Ralph Lauren, and they want to create something, a brand wanted to create something off the rack, or is it just to, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yeah. So I think this marketing strategy of leaning in more into the social side with social media influencers and partnerships can apply to companies at large. I think it's something that's been super appealing and saw a meteoric rise, especially with the pandemic and people leaning more into parasocial interactions. But I think it can have an extra, I guess, compounding effect on off the rack stores because of the, I guess, prevalence of millennials and Gen Z, and them being the most dominant generation now, them being the generation that leans more towards social media, and off the rack caters to them more by offering them like lower price points as well as a wider variety. That's something that Nordstrom Rack has been prioritizing in their actual market strategy. They know millennials and Gen Z are incredibly important. And so expanding their actual product assortment to reach them is something they're focused on. And then the social media and marketing portion of it is really to connect that. They have the supply of more, I guess, attainable, affordable clothing for these millennial and Gen Z customers. They just need to reach them in the right channels. So I think this marketing strategy can apply to many companies. They probably have to adapt it, of course, to fit with their brand. Ralph Lauren has a little bit more of like an elevated, more aspirational vibe. And so the tone of this strategy and the influencers they work with, who they partner with, should reflect that. But in general, I do think social media can benefit off the rack stores a little bit more just because of their clear connection to millennial and Gen Z consumers.
Great answer.
Thank you.
Jennifer?
Yeah, sure. So the really terrific presentation. Thank you. I wanted to ask a question about, so obviously clearly going after the millennial younger customer, but in terms of how to target other customers or customers within the millennial, let's say, we wanted to target the Latino customer or, or any other. So have you thought about how, how to think about a specific content strategy and delivering to those specific customers that you might be looking to grow in the, within the mix?
Yes, totally. So to touch on kind of both aspects, for like the more traditional customers, I definitely think leaning into things like email and digital ads, those things should always be there. They're always important because they capture that audience that may not be millennial or Gen Z. But then to target the more specific demographics within that younger audience, I think that's where the power of influencers really comes into play. I'll be candid, I watch plenty of YouTube, and so I see a lot of sponsorships. And the audiences and the people in the comments often reflect the identities and the interests of the influencer. So to target more specific demographics, I really think intentionally researching influencers is super critical because their audiences are going to reflect them, what they like, etc. And I think a big thing, again, me being an avid YouTube watcher, is really letting the influencer have more creative control. Nordstrom Rack is here to outline the larger strategy, provide the products, etc. The influencer is the one who is actually able to connect and has the relationships with their audiences. So by letting them have creative control while still, making sure they get across the point of like, hey, our anniversary sale is coming up, or we're having a clear the rack, or we launched a new partnership, making sure the message still comes across, but letting them add their own flair to actually connect their audience, I think is going to be critical to build relationships with more specific demographics.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thanks, Ifechi. That was, again, very deftly handled. Really impressed by your presentation and your question, the answers that you made to the questions that were posed by our judges. So that concludes the presentation session. I just wanted to bring maybe Emily and Naecia, Ellie back and thank you for your very impressive presentations. As Lana started, we're proud of you for so many reasons, but especially for what you just showed us. We're really grateful to you for being FSF scholars and all the confidence in the world of the future that you're headed towards that we hope to be a part of. So thank you so much. And for everybody watching, thank you. And as I mentioned earlier, on April 11th at our annual event, our live and in-person event, we'll be announcing kind of the highest scholarship award recipient among the 4 presenters tonight. Thank you all. And judges will reconvene very momentarily, if you can, through another Zoom link and do some deliberating. So thank you, everybody, and good night.